Welcome back, everybody. It is April 16th, 2019, 7:48 p.m. And as we watch this giant mess that gave us a bunch of headaches for the last week or so go away, we have another situation brewing. We have talked about this. We expected it. We know it's coming. And there's one coming right behind it, too. So we'll get right to it. Now, this is certainly going to be a tornado producer. This is going to be a severe thunderstorm producer. We can see in this chart here, we're expecting mixed precipitation in the west. Obviously, that's the beginning of this system. We are going to have such a dramatic dip in the jet stream that this is going to put Florida, the peninsula of Florida, involved in this in a couple days. More than likely, I want to say Friday, Saturday. I believe that's what this information is leading us to believe. Let's read this real quick. Yet another multi-day severe weather threat looms this week. It begins in the plains and parts of the Midwest Wednesday. So that's what we're looking at here, is the beginning of this system. Now we can go to our COD chart. This is a great chart to look at. You can almost see these two systems buckling over each other. If I back up this, this was about 18 hours ago. So this thing covers about 18 hours at a time, give or take maybe 24. We can see that rain passing over Mexico and the Baja region here, and then we have the west side of the U.S. here, almost like a counterclockwise flow going through the west. So it's two layers we got going on here. And then as we move into current time, you begin to see this buckle here, or like a negative area. That is two separate systems now, and because this is beginning to buckle, we're going to start to see a counterclockwise spin right by the area where we always talk about ground zero, except this is going to be a little more south. This is going to clip the top of Texas. We're talking severe weather here. It's going to be raining all over the place, so if you live anywhere near the Gulf Coast, you're getting rain for the next 4 or 5 days. That's pretty much guaranteed. I'm focusing more on the severe weather threat. We're beginning to see the beginning of this system. Even though you're not seeing big, giant storms, that does not mean that they won't happen. And we can look at proof easily just by looking at last week. This picture I took, snapshot rather, was on the 13th, 3 days ago. And this was right as this thing was beginning to peak and make that really, really dramatic counterclockwise whip that affected many people in Texas, and then the tornado situation that came shortly after, eventually ending in the northeast of the U.S. Not much difference in this situation than what we just went through is basically the long and short of it. So on Tropical Tidbits here, we'll follow this from the 17th. That's where they got us now. We could backtrack to another time frame, but the data would not be as accurate. So we actually have to stick with this one to get the most accurate data, at least from this website. And we can see the energy build up, just like on the COD site. Same thing. You see that buckle right down by the border of Texas and Oklahoma. You can see that negative space dip down. Two separate systems, and the energy is building up like crazy. Just check out the difference again in these two pictures, guys. This is a 1 day, a day and a half difference. So it's not about if we're going to see these deep reds and burgundies like we saw last week on this chart. It's a matter of when. This setup is just repeating itself over and over again, and this is probably going to be the situation going through hurricane season. So we're not talking just April 20th, you know, this one's going to come and go. This could very much be something we see on a regular basis going forward for an extended period of time, and by that I mean years. We've already begun to see it with our hurricane seasons, like we just mentioned. So, all right, guys, let's get through Tropical Tidbits here. Let's see where the worst of this is expected to happen. Again, I said Texas is definitely going to be involved in this. It's basically with the starting point. You can see the top part of Texas right there. That is the beginning of that severe weather threat, and that is where this chart basically ends. So I know I'm repeating myself here, but the reason we're not seeing this yet is because we're just not quite there. We're about 8 hours away from seeing basically this exact image put right back onto the U.S. map. So it's going to be there. There's no doubt about it. And then when you go to Tropical Tidbits, that's where we can go look into the future a little bit and see what we could expect. And you see that extreme weather starting in Texas, going straight through Louisiana. And now this is where things are going to get hairy. This is going to be that line, this angle going up the Tornado Alley Valley, whatever you want to call it. That's up to you. But we see after it clips that top part of Texas, Oklahoma will be involved in it, and then we get the strips. This is where things are, like I said, going to get hairy. Every day after this, or every hour after this, you see new extreme cells popping up left and right, and then the main source of the energy is being pushed to the East Coast. You see that big dip right here? That's why we're seeing this weather in the Florida Panhandle, Peninsula, and in the Gulf. It's extending all the way down into the Gulf itself, not just dipping down to the top of Louisiana or just to the Panhandle. It's going into the Gulf. So anytime we see that happen, it often leads to bad situations for Florida and the East Coast as a whole, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. The low pressure system itself does not look to be in a situation where it's going to be considered bombogenesis, where the millibars drop 24 within a 24-hour period. But this thing has so much energy in it that it's just one of those storms you can look at and be like, this thing is going to produce tornadoes. There's no getting around it. In fact, Caroline calls it the Marley Nelson effect due to the timing of this storm. For those of you out there that may understand that joke. We'll get some humor in here in some of these bad situations, but this is very interesting to me here. These straight line winds are very dangerous, and why I'm saying straight line winds is because you see like almost a cutoff in the rain. You got to involve the wind in that, because when you see these low pressure systems, usually you'll see rings around them, and then in this situation you don't see many rings, but you do see these big severe storms, and they look like straight lines. They're going to have straight line winds involved with them. So even if there's no tornadoes, straight line winds can do just as much damage as a small or lower grade tornado. There's no doubt about that. And that's what we're seeing here, guys. This thing looks like it's rotating right over the southern tip of West Virginia. That's where it looks like it's going to peak, and then it begins to move out of the northeast on the 21st, Sunday, with another low pressure system right behind it, guys. So like I said, this is coming every week. We're going to see this for until the near future. Basically, that's all it's showing. So this is very severe here by the Outer Banks. Definitely cause for concern in anyone that lives in the Outer Banks there, and then inland at least 200 miles, which is where the area of Pennsylvania I live in right now. Right here, straight line winds, same setup as last time, guys. So, all right, don't want to keep you here that long. Don't want to make you too nervous, but we need to prepare for this, especially the east side of the U.S. This thing is going to start in the plains, like we discussed, and then once it gets towards Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, belly button of the U.S., ground zero right here. This is where we need to start paying attention very closely, if not way before that, because we all know what happened last time. All right, guys, if this is repeat info, I apologize, but we need to let everyone know about this. This is going to be a common occurrence for at least the next couple months. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. Thank you so much. Caroline, thank you for the links. Love you, babe. We'll talk soon. We've already got gale force winds in Texas as we speak, guys. Talk to you soon. Be safe. Bye-bye.